Hey, hi, how are you, everybody? Hello.
Yes, sir.
It is August 30th, Monday. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Tom Madsway along with us. A full day today of big things happening.
Heck of a show,
Edwards.
Man. Heck of a show.
I'm telling you.
I'm ready, man.
I'm telling you today, Braylon.
I went and got a haircut, man. I look clean and nice and neat.
You look fantastic.
I appreciate that, man.
Look at this guy, man.
Hey, man, just a little something to the side, just a little hair so you guys can see it. Heck of a weekend, man. Heck of a weekend. Saw Candyman.
How was that movie?
Candyman was pretty good, man. Jordan Peele, who directed and produced and wrote Get Out, and as well as Us. It was a remix. You got the weather has calmed down for us. It's not as hot, man. That's done wonders for us.
Can I say one thing about this weather?
Talk to me about the weather, man.
I have been waiting almost 2 weeks, essentially, for this weather to calm down a little bit. And finally, I feel like today is the last day before we get into some sort of a little bit better feel, like low 80s, high 70s. Is there anything wrong with living like that?
There's not. We as humans, we're very picky when we complain a lot. But, hey, man, it's been hot, man. So I'm glad that it's gotten down to the top of the 70s, man, so that I can get back on that golf course before or after work. Also, man, Kanye dropped Donda, so I got my music game back.
Look at that.
Kanye, man, he's back. He dropped Donda, and it is some phenomenal tracks, man. The only thing I really care about, Jay-Z and Kanye are back best buddies, man.
Look at that.
There we go. It's a good weekend, man.
You can't stray too far from your best buddies, right?
You can't.
I mean, not, we can all have problems along the way. But
first, the Fat Boys break up. Now, every day I wake up, nobody wants to go through that.
Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited, man.
Hey, Mads, how you doing? Your firstborn goes to college. You move her in this week?
We did.
How many tears, Mads? How many tears?
Over or under 60.
My kids and my wife are an absolute mess. Lily was a mess until the end of the day when she finally couldn't wait for us to get the hell out of East Lansing. After we finally sat down, we had our meal with her. She's got the meal plan. So you go into this Michigan State, this dining hall, and it's like a mall. You've got Chinese food. You've got Arabic food. You've got Italian. You've got hamburgers. You've got it all. It's like it's unbelievable.
I want a hamburger.
It's the union, man.
It was, they did.
The union.
I'm so happy for her. She's living the life that I wanted to live. My wife wanted to live. We wanted to go away to school. We really didn't. My wife did for her master's. Me, if I didn't find a parking spot, I would just go to the track. I went to a city college, so if there was no parking, I was out of there. And,
as a parent, though, Mads, isn't that what you want for your kids? You want your kids to have a better life than you.
I totally do. I'm so happy for her. She's going to dominate East Lansing, and her friends are as well. God bless you, Lil.
Now, so Lily's away. How are the two daughters doing at home?
They're in a funk. They're in a bad funk. My littlest, Maddie, who caddied with Lily at Lockmore this year. It's her first time because she's a freshman.
I've golfed there.
Yep, she's a freshman at Bishop Foley. She's playing volleyball. Now her big sister's not going to be there to see her game tonight. Abby, my middle, who's playing volleyball as well at Lakeview. Lily's not going to be there to root her on in her senior year. They cried, man. They were definitely in a funk. The house feels weird right now.
Feels different, doesn't it?
Feels different.
It does.
Well, we'll try to snap you out of that funk.
Let's do it.
Plenty of sports talk today. We are going to have Rick Thorning on at 3 o'clock today. He is the manager, the head coach of the Taylor North Little League champions. Braylon, that was a very exciting game to watch yesterday.
It was, man. And finally, I think they won 5-2. Finally, Michigan has beaten Ohio in something. I think from the Pistons and Cavs to the Cleveland Indians and the Tigers to Michigan, Ohio State. We've lost to that state down south, but they got the big win. Taylor North, man, congratulations. I can't wait to talk to Rick and just hear his thoughts on his players and that great accomplishment.
Coming up in just a little bit, also minutes from now, actually, we're going to talk to Chris Burke. He is from The Athletic, covers the Lions for The Athletic. Already some cuts. We know 9 names that they've cut already. And I don't know if this is the biggest surprise or not. I mean, if you watch this guy in camp, if you watched him at all in these preseason games, Brashad Perryman just doesn't look like a player that can contribute on this team or anybody else right now, whether it's because of the injury or because he's just not not back from that injury. He's a couple of drops the other night. Just not a good showing in camp, and they cut him today.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on him, considering his dad was a very good player here for the Detroit Lions. When guys are in that space where they haven't had consistency, they've been moved around a little bit. You look at him, he's now in Detroit, and he probably looked at the receiving corps with the Detroit Lions. He probably looked at it as, this is a team I'm definitely going to make. I actually probably should start on this receiving corps, and I don't think he necessarily took it as serious as he should have. Then he has the nagging injury, and he just never looked the part. Like you said, you've mentioned this for the last 2 weeks. He just never seemed to look the part of the guy that you want to depend on, the guy that can be the premier number one, or even that number two that you can lean on with the number one. He didn't look like that. And then going into the last game against the Colts this past Friday, he had 2 drops. You can't do that. The reason why you're playing in a game 3, which technically would be like a game 4 in the preseason of the past, because the coach wants to see what you can do. Dan Campbell wants to see, are we making a mistake? Should we keep him, or is it something else? And when he didn't see that, you gotta do what your eyes tell you to do, and that was cut.
Mike Ford, quarterback Mike Ford, cut as well. He was more of a special teams guy. And every year, third year on the Lions, every year his playing time on defense seemed to decrease a little bit. And you got to be able to do more than one thing. I know a lot of people appreciate special teams and the fact that he's a gunner on special teams, but if you can't really be out there and play defense a little bit too. You've got to be able to do a number of different things. I think Tyrell Crosby, the offensive lineman, that out of all of these guys was one of the biggest surprises to me. Here's a guy who started 15, 20 games in the NFL. You wouldn't like to see him as a sixth or even seventh offensive lineman on the team.
You would.
But Dan Campbell said he was not one of their best players.
Yeah, going back to Mike Ford, you want guys that play dual positions. You want guys that can, maximize their play for your team. You want offense, or defense, and definitely special teams. The more you can do, the more you're available, the more you can help the squad out. Well, first thing that you have to do is be good at your position. We need you to be accountable at your position. We need you to know the plays. We need you to make tackles. We need you to be a force when we put you in for packages. Do that first. Focus on that first, and then you focus on the special teams aspect. So if you can't do that, then there's no need for us to bring you in for special teams. Hey, Ryan, you know what it is, man. We need a guy to be the guy, and he just wasn't the guy for what they were asking of him.
I want to ask you guys, my guy Tom Kennedy didn't see a lot of action on Friday night. Does that mean he's kind of he's in with the team,
yes.
or is he in trouble?
He's in. He's in. That means he's in. You look at a guy, like you said, third preseason game is kind of the end, but at the same time, they wanted to see some production out of some guys that were kind of on that fence level. He's a guy that's been operating probably at the highest level, maybe him and Geronimo Allison at the wide receiver position. So the fact that he didn't play, it's not him not going to make the team or they feel a certain way on the negative side. It's they feel confident in him. Every time he stepped in there, you talked about him a lot. Every time you've talked about him on the show, you said good things. So I think he's safe, and he's someone that they're going to rely on a little bit this year.
How about Tavai? I didn't notice much about him. Are you hearing anything on him?
We have not seen anything regarding any linebacker just yet. 4 p.m. deadline on Tuesday is when the 53-man rosters are due, and I think that's that is the one guy. I think Tavai and Perriman are really the two players that I think most fans wanted to see this organization make a determination on. They have already done so with Perriman, and if you get any sort of hint at how Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are approaching this cut, they're saying to them, who is our best players? We don't care how old you are. We certainly with Muehlbach, we don't care. We don't care
if
how
it's your
old
birthday.
you are. We don't care if it's your birthday. We don't care how much money you're making. We don't care if we just signed you in the off season to a free agent contract. If you aren't one of the best 53 players on this roster, then we're not going to keep you on the team. We're going to cut you. And I think another aspect of this is Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are saying, look, we're going to go try to win every game we can.
Yes.
We're going to go try. But we're going to do so with players who we think have a chance to develop as well. Yeah. They know this thing is a rebuild. They know we're in for some pain this year.
Who gives you the best chance to win games this season? That's what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are looking at. When they look at the roster cuts, how many guys were making the same exact mistakes that they made at the start of training camp? How many guys got better? How many guys are buying in? How many guys do I see putting in that extra time? How many guys are you seeing, have a bad play and then come back with a good play and then a string a couple along? How many guys are talking to other guys, and you can see some cohesion formulating out of those players? They're going to make the cuts based on the guys that they believe that they can win some games with this year. And it's actually going to help teams like the Detroit Lions, Maz, is you have 2 weeks now before the start of your first game, which means they have 2 weeks, like a team like Detroit, a team like Jacksonville, a team like Houston, where you have 2 weeks to create some chemistry, to create some familiarity. Like, one thing you're always looking for, I want to see the same faces in the huddle. Like, whenever I played on bad teams, like, I always knew I was going to start. But you look at those other tweener positions. Oh, here's a left tackle in this minute. Oh, it's another left tackle this minute. Right. It's another left tackle tomorrow. It's quarterback here. It's another quarterback in 3 series. You want to see some familiarity, and I think that's what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are looking to build from today to 2 weeks from now.
Speaking of the quarterback, it will be David Blau being the backup for this team. Tim Boyle needs surgery. He needs surgery, broke that thumb. And that was, Maz, that was Terrell Crosby who allowed that sack to happen.
Not only that, they have to decide if they're going to put him on IR now or keep him on the 53-man, because if he can get better in, let's say, 5 weeks, he can play. If he goes on IR now, he's done for the year. That's another. He might still take a spot up on the 53-man roster.
Yeah, they'll put him on PUP, physically able to perform, or physically able to unperform, and then you get 8 weeks, and after that, then they take you on the IR. I like David Blau. I always was high on David Blau. Even when I worked on another network, I talked about him when he was at Purdue. He used to battle against Elijah Sindelar, so he's very familiar with going back and forth and being in a quarterback battle and coming in when he wants, when it's time for him to come in, no matter how cold. He's a very gritty guy, so I like to pick in David Blau.
All right, we are going to take a 30-second break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk to Chris Burke, covers the Lions for The Athletic. We will ask him all these great questions and much more.
It's a good show.
We are loaded here on a Monday show. You are listening to Armani and Edwards with Maz. This is The Bottom Line on Woodward Sports Network. Excited to bring in this guy, talk some Lions football. He covers the Lions for The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at Chris Burke NFL. We bring in the aforementioned Chris Burke here to Woodward Sports Network. Chris, how you doing today?
Chris.
Hey guys, how's it going? Going to date myself a little bit here. I actually I covered Braylon for the Michigan Daily way back in the day. So,
Michigan Daily. Michigan Daily was like the first to do an actual piece on me, because I was running track and I was playing football, so they did like a dual venture kind of piece. I think it was like the American flag was in the background of the picture we took. So
Chris, I naturally have to ask you then, what was Braylon like to cover?
Good answers only. Good answers only.
I think I remember him being pretty fun to cover. I didn't write that piece, unfortunately, but I did cover
Nicole Stanton wrote that piece?
It was the year the Michigan State triple overtime game. I was on the field for that one, covering that year. So that was pretty good. It was a fun year. It was a fun season for you guys.
Yeah, it was.
That's great. Well, Chris, we really appreciate the time this afternoon, so we'll get right to it. Lions, first of all, big picture take on so far what we know. Brashad Perriman out, Terrell Crosby out, Mike Ford out. Those were really the 3 names that jumped out at me today. Were they? Was that similar for you? And what do you expect to happen here moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, Ford and Crosby, I think, were the surprises. Brashad Perriman, he kind of felt like he was on the bubble. He'd been banged up. He had the couple drops on Friday. He really didn't do much of anything of note in camp, so that one felt like it could go that way. Mike Ford's a really good special teams guy, good locker room guy. Tyrell Crosby, too, we thought was going to be their swing tackle, so you're kind of cutting into some depth that already was looking a little shaky. So those were kind of the two surprise ones, but they obviously like some other guys there. Ford was kind of right there on the fringe. They have a lot of guys who can contribute on special teams, but you know, I was surprised with Crosby, frankly. I mean, he's been hurt. He didn't look good on Friday either, but you know, they don't have a lot up front on that offensive line. If you take any of those starters out, they're in some big trouble. So I'm not sure what the plan is there.
And there's no doubt about that. And I was thinking about Crosby because you naturally think of Penei Sewell right now as well, who he was graded the lowest player in the game for the Lions again this week. But look, he's 20 years old. He didn't play football last year, and he's moving to another position. How patient should Lions fans and the organization be with Penei Sewell? Because, you know, this is going to be a little bit tougher than they thought. They just didn't think this 20-year-old was going to walk in and be an all-pro at right tackle, I hope.
Well, and that was the other reason I was surprised they got rid of Crosby,
yes,
honestly, because they were college teammates. He's a guy who's played in this league on both sides, left and right tackle, so I thought he would give him some help and some mentorship and kind of get him through these difficult spots. So that was as much a surprise as the performance on Crosby. But, yeah, I mean, I think you've obviously got to be patient. I think the big thing that they're looking for and that I think you can kind of see if you want to is that when he has these mistakes and he's had one or two bad ones in every preseason game is, you know, is he coming back and learning from them? And I think, you know, you've seen him be able to recover from those and put up some decent performances. And you know, a lot of it is just, I think, like you said, he hasn't played in a year and a half. I think it's switching to the right side. I mean, he mentioned right away just how difficult it was, technique, footwork, all that sort of stuff, to flip sides like that. And I think a lot of the mistakes you're seeing with his balance and with his hand placement and all that is just trying to get a feel for being on that other side and doing it when it's NFL speed coming at you.
Chris Burke joins us from The Athletic, at Chris Burke, NFL. Appreciate you, Chris. I wanted to ask you about David Blau and Tim Boyle. Before the injury, do you think they would have kept all three quarterbacks?
I do think they were headed that direction. I think they like both those guys. I think they like the room they've put together. Blau's been almost like a coach on the field for them. And now you put in that he probably was the better of the two quarterbacks. I think he'd been safe. But they were excited about Tim Boyle's his presence there, but also his arm talent. I mean, when he's hit passes in camp and in the games, it's been downfield stuff, and they don't really have a lot of that. So I think they liked having him around, and I think it also, you know, we're seeing Indianapolis again just lost Carson Wentz to the COVID list. We saw the Lions were without Stafford for a few games last year. So I think that right now it makes sense to carry three in case you have a week where your starter or someone just can't be there. So I think that, you know, just from a practicality standpoint, it makes sense.
So, Chris, will they keep Boyle active, or will he go on the IR? Because if he goes on the IR now, he's done for the year. If they keep him around, he takes a spot up, but you can use him down the line.
Yeah, I think they'll probably, I don't know, they might release him in the next 5 minutes now that I'm saying this. But I think my guess is, because they do like him, that they'll keep him through, you know, the cut down tomorrow, and then as soon as you get through that 4 p.m. window, you can put him on IR and free up a spot. So I'm guessing, given that it sounds like they're going to be bringing in a few guys off waivers or via trade or whatever, I think that's something you can do. You can carry him on your initial 53, put him on IR with, you know, that return designation where he only has to sit out for 6 weeks, and then if he's ready to come back, you can do that later. But in the meantime, you get an extra spot. So I think he could do that. I mean, Deshaun Hand's another one that might get that same treatment if he doesn't get cut. He hasn't played or practiced in a while here, so my guess is that's what they'll do. But I had Mike Ford and Crosby on the final roster too, so who knows.
Hey, Chris, Braylon coming back at you. You know, I don't know if Coach Campbell has said this on record. I don't know how close he has gotten to saying this, especially after the cuts. But we were talking about familiarity and cohesion. Like, that's what the Lions probably want to build starting today, moving forward to their first game against the 49ers. How close do you think they are to actually knowing that number one roster fully all the way around and starting to build that? Because, you know, having that extra week does help. You know, it gives you 2 weeks to kind of look in the huddle, see the same faces and things of that nature, and also the guys that are on the injured reserve, not injured list, but kind of the, you know, nagging injuries like Swift, like Williams. Are those guys ready to go now, and we'll start seeing that moving forward tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the key. I think they know more or less who, maybe not all 53. I think they feel pretty good about the starters on each side and then maybe the immediate depth. And then beyond that, you're kind of filling in the gaps. But Swift, they said last week, Campbell and Deuce Staley both said they're kind of concerns about the rep he's missed. Hawkinson missed a little bit of time. Tyrell Williams has missed time. I mean, they haven't really had that continuity on offense. The good news is the offensive line's been there, Goff's been there, but in terms of the skill position guys, you're going to go into week one, and that's really going to be the first game action these guys are getting together ever. So that's certainly a challenge. I do think they feel pretty good, again, about the top line guys, about those starters, about who maybe the top 35 to 40 guys. And then beyond that, I do think that it makes sense that they be looking for moves because, like I said, offensive line, you probably still need a piece or two. You might need a wide receiver. You might need a safety or a veteran corner. I mean, there's a lot of spots on this team you could pick and say, well, they're kind of short a guy there. So these next 48 hours will be pretty interesting.
Chris, two-part question here. First and foremost.
You've been hanging out with me too long,
Braylon's favorite friend. I've been hanging out with you too much, Braylon, lately. But Chris, Jelani Tavai, does he make this team or no?
I don't think so, but yeah. I do know that they really like him. I know that they like his locker room presence. I know that they challenged him to come back 25 pounds lighter, and he did without any problems. And he's been playing on special teams for him quite a bit. So maybe he's one of those guys that sneaks on at the back end. But I don't think he gives you as much on special teams as Jalen Reeves-Maybin or Anthony Pittman, and I don't think he gives you as much on first through third downs as either of those guys too. So. You're at linebacker 5 at 6 at that point. I don't know that they would carry that many.
Second part of the question is just a big picture look at Dan Campbell and how he's handled this preseason. I see guys playing out there, and granted, they're rookie quarterbacks, but you see the Trevor Lawrence. I saw a number of quarterbacks playing. Did you like the way that he handled Jared Goff this preseason and really the starters on this team? It's going to be some time. I mean, almost a month, if a little over a month, since these guys have had reps in real game action. Now, we saw injuries like J.K. Dobbins went out yesterday, tore his ACL, and those things are always
possible
and awful. Yeah. But how, does it bother you or not bother you that this starting team, essentially the guys that are going to play against 49ers, really haven't played together over a month, if ever?
Yeah,
really.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the injuries were part of that, just because they didn't want to push some of those guys, Swift and Michael Brockers and some of those guys. They didn't really want to push them through. I think the lack of depth also was a consideration there. Like if T.J. Hawkinson gets banged up for 4 weeks, I don't know what you're doing on offense. I mean, he's your guy on offense. So I think that was some of the consideration. I was a little surprised by it, mostly because they didn't have the joint practices this year. I think if you have those joint practices and you're going against another team for 3-4 days, you kind of almost don't need the preseason game at the end of that week. Those practices are more valuable than what you're getting out of the game anyway. So not having that, I was a little surprised we didn't see at least a series or two here or there from Goff and from some of those first team guys. But again, they had so many of them that were banged up or dealing with minor things. They were just trying to be careful, to get to this point and get to week one. That's why they held them back. But yeah, I mean, that's a big hurdle to get over between now and week one. You basically have to make up for all that time you've missed without playing another team and game plan while you're doing it.
Hey, Chris, one thing the Lions have always had have been a great punter and a great place kicker. And now you got Zane Gonzalez and Randy Bullock. Now, I've read things in the past, and there's been some fun stuff. We should just cut them both, go get a guy off waivers. I mean, these guys they're journeymen for a reason. You've seen a lot more than I have of these guys. Do either one stick, or is there a rookie guy out there? I think the Giants and the Colts cut a couple of guys. Or do you see a rookie coming in here and being a place kicker?
I wouldn't be totally shocked if they were still looking for a kicker. I think
Chris Maz has an unhealthy infatuation with Lions kickers. We apologize in advance.
I wonder if this is a fantasy football question.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's a fantasy something.
No, it's not.
It's a fantasy something.
Fine. Don't answer.
I think that Randy Bullock's a guy who's hit 83% of his field goals for a 10-year career, and that's the guy that they've gotten for the most part in camp. If you want to kick one from 48 yards and in, you probably got a pretty good chance of making it. He's not stepping out and hitting a 55, 58-yarder like Matt Prater could. I don't know that he's... Yeah, and so that there's clearly a drop-off there. I think one of those guys could be fine for you, especially kicking indoors for the most part. I think you'd be fine getting some consistency out of Bullock's probably a little bit ahead, but Gonzalez did all the kicking this past week, so it might be neck and neck in their minds. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of those positions that if they don't turn it over now, the first time you have an 0 for 2 Sunday, you got a new guy in there on Monday.
Well, Chris, this was fantastic, and thanks for humoring Maz with your knowledge of the Lions kicking situation. This poor guy over here.
He's good the rest of the show now.
Chris, great stuff. We really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this with us. We hope to see you again throughout the season.
We got to dig that article up, man, from Michigan Daily back in 04.
I'll find it. I'll find it before next time. Yeah.
Chris
Thanks,
Burke,
guys.
follow him on Twitter,
Thanks,
Lions
Chris.
writer for The Athletic, at Chris Burke. NFL. Guys, I want to ask you about Penei Sewell. Just a quick thought on him next. Also, is Deshaun Watson on the move? Could he be?
Yes.
I will tell you where.
On the move to the courtroom or on the move somewhere else?
On the field in the NFL, starting for a new team week 1. Is he going to be with a specific team? We'll talk about that next, 30 seconds from now. This is Armani and Edwards with Maz here on Woodward Sports Network.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Northwestern Tech, starting a new career in an industry that is always essential, the heating and cooling industry. Learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu.
That was a hell of a read there, Fish.
It was on point, right? As he was looking for buttons to hit music, too. You saw he was multitasking in the studio, man.
Hell of a job in there, Fish. And you, Alex Mayer. We got a great crew here at Woodward Sports.
Yeah, we do.
That's Al May to you.
Al May.
Uh-oh. He's got a nickname now. What do I got to do to get a nickname, man?
You got one.
What is it?
The GOAT.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, man, that's why Maz is my guy.
Hey, we're going to have Rick Thorning, the manager, head coach of the World Series champion Little Leaguers from Taylor North. He'll come on with us in about 30 minutes from now.
They're no lemon drops.
No, they're not the St. Joan of Arc lemon drops or whatever you have there, man.
Black St. Clair.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Quick thought on Penei Sewell, guys. I want to ask you because for the third straight, he's just not looking good. For the second straight game, this was a tweet regarding Sewell. For the second straight week, Penei Sewell was the Lions' lowest graded player on offense. That's per Pro Football Focus. And I just think this is, and I'm not going to freak out over Penei Sewell. I'm just not going to do it. The guy hasn't played football in a year and a half.
Yeah.
He's 20 years old. You have asked him to move positions. It's going to take him some time. And I think if anybody thought he would come in and be some Pro Bowler at 20 years old, moving over to right tackle when the left side is his natural position, and hasn't played football in a year and a half, I think you're going to have some growing pains. I'm preaching patience here with Penei Sewell. Yeah,
you definitely are. You should preach patience. At the end of the day, not everyone is going to come into the league like Jake Long out of Michigan did with the Dolphins, like Joe Thomas did, who had a Hall of Fame career with the Cleveland Browns out of Wisconsin, Orlando Pace with the Rams. Not everybody is going to come into the league like that. Some people are going to come in and have to learn, and that's the majority of the people. Like they always say, the hardest positions to come in and play right away are quarterback and lineman. Lineman, you have to learn the play call, you have to learn the cadence, you have to learn the lineman, the center, how he likes to call plays and the checks, etc. Now you ask an individual who's cool with the left, to go to the right side. Even though they're the same position, they're totally different. Like, everything he does is operating off the left. That's what he's confident. That's what's in his wisdom cap. Is right there on the left side, knowing to move this way, knowing to put this left hand up, knowing the inside run, knowing the zone block this way. When you switch him, now you put him on the right, you have to basically turn his mind around. I have to now do everything off the right side, so that's hard. And especially when you don't necessarily have that go-to veteran on the offensive line for the Detroit Lions that can help him, that can be in his ear, that can tell him this is okay, that's not okay. Like, he's going to struggle, but he doesn't necessarily have that player.
I guess Taylor Decker would be that guy, no?
And Taylor's trying to figure it out too. Like, you're trying to figure it out between Tim Boyle, you're trying to figure it out between David Blau, you're trying to figure it out between Jared Goff whenever he decides to practice under Dan Campbell. So you're trying to figure it out between 3 signal callers, an offensive line, a head coach who knows that line area well. I just think there's a lot going on, so he won't really have a chance to become or get into a rhythm until the season starts. And you're looking about maybe game 3-4. Look for him to really settle in.
I agree.
I don't understand why they cut Crosby. Here's a guy that, went to Oregon, like Panay, kind of like a big brother to him. The guy was a very good offensive tackle, offensive guard, whatever he played. And now he's gone. They obviously have their reasons. Was he making too much money? I don't know when it comes down to it or not. But why not keep a guy like that around? Because when they took Sewell with the 7th overall pick, everyone said, oh, well, they can now they could trade Crosby. And there were some teams that asked about him, and they didn't trade him. And now it comes down to it, and they cut him. He has a hamstring injury. It's been lingering, but I don't understand. I don't understand how quick you got to do these things.
Dan Campbell said he just wasn't one of our best players.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Well, I guess
that's what he's saying.
I'm not saying you got to take Dan Campbell's word as gospel or anything like that, but. That one was surprising to me too. How and why?
It's what he's looking for.
You wouldn't keep a guy that's got, what has he got, 15, 20 starts in the National Football League? You call him in?
But once again, you look at a guy like Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell knows what he wants the identity of this Detroit Lions team to be. He wants them to be physical. He doesn't want them to make mistakes or consistent mistakes. He wants them to be aggressive. Dan Campbell is a jacked up, out of his mind, coffee drinker with, like we talked about, the Pike with the espresso. Like, you hear his voice. He's a tough guy. He's a mauler. Maybe Crosby's just not meeting it for him on the offensive line. Maybe he's not the mauler that he wants. Like, he wants a dominant run game. He has Anthony Lynn, an offensive coordinator who's going to run the ball. You've seen it all preseason. And he was a running back. That's the type of offense and identity that he wants. He's going to get that out of his running backs. He has to have an offensive lineman up front that wants to maul a guy, that wants to put a guy in the ground, and maybe that's not what Crosby's providing him.
Well, they're going to pick up somebody on waivers here because other people's junk is some people's treasure.
This is true.
And vice versa. Some Lions will get picked up. Rashard Perriman will play. He might be back with the Jets for all we know.
First-round pick.
You don't know that.
53-man roster due by 4 p.m. on Tuesday. And, of course, if we learn anything more about the cuts with the Detroit Lions, we will get that to you as soon as possible.
Dan Skipper was a guy that they let go for an injury.
Yep.
Another guy that was pretty good in the preseason.
Damn Skippy.
Yep. No doubt about it. Victor Bolden, also wide receiver, one of the guys in that really weak unit. But we'll see what happens with that. 53-man roster due Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Again, if we get anybody else, if we get any more names, we'll share that with you here on Woodward Sports Network.
It's like a play on words. Like, did you cut Dan Skippy? Damn Skippy.
Right. Guys, you know who you say play on words. You know who is a wordsmith?
Who's a wordsmith?
Oh, my gosh. The super agent Drew Rosenhaus.
Drew Rosenhaus.
He is at it again. Maz apparently has been on this for a long time, but Drew Rosenhaus had some interesting words regarding Deshaun Watson and a potential likely trade, perhaps, to the Miami Dolphins. Take a listen to this.
Of course Drew would say that.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Deshaun Watson with the Miami Dolphins for the first game of the regular season. The Dolphins are absolutely working on this deal with the Texans. There's obviously holdups with compensation. They want 3 first-round picks plus. That's not going to happen while he has an uncertain legal future. The Dolphins have to make sure that they have contingencies in the event that these legal issues become a serious problem. But I do think there's a legitimate possibility that the Dolphins will acquire one of the best players in the NFL in Deshaun Watson. And if he can clear those legal hurdles, man, the Dolphins have a franchise quarterback for the first time since Dan Marino.
I mean, I would say I'm interested in the players that are on our team. You know, that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in, Reed Sinnett, who went out there and played, his butt off tonight. I'm interested in Jared Dokes, who we talked about, a second ago. I'm interested in the guys who, that didn't play today, that, we're focused on our recovery and being fresh for next week. That's what I would say. I mean, I'm interested in the players.
And that was Brian Flores, the Miami Dolphins head coach.
He's done a great job down there.
You're always put in a difficult position when you're asked about players who are not on your team. And then you've got the juxtaposition of saying, hey, Tua, this is going on behind your back right now because, look, if you have Deshaun Watson available to you, he is one of the top 3 quarterbacks, maybe top 4, it's debatable, but he's definitely one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. In fact, he's one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in a decade.
He's better than Josh Allen. We'll come to that later.
In the National Football League. I really like him. I really like him as a player. Now, Drew Rosenhaus is talking about can he, if he can get past these legal hurdles. Well, that's a pretty big if.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen, but I've seen crazier stuff happen. Deshaun Watson, you put him on the Miami Dolphins, they might be a favorite in the AFC.
That's a recipe. That's a recipe for something special. If you put Deshaun Watson on the Miami Dolphins, in which we talked about a couple weeks ago, just the way in which Brian Flores has handled that team and got them flourishing, no pun intended. Their defense is really good. The offense, they drafted Jalen Waddle out of Alabama to allegedly give Tua somebody to throw to, but now we know it potentially could be Deshaun Watson. Drew Rosenhaus knows this stuff, especially as it relates to the Miami Dolphins franchise. He's in Miami. He's always on that beat. He knows this type of thing. I wouldn't bet against him if it had anything to do with Miami. Deshaun Watson's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. Now, obviously, it's Pat Mahomes, and then it's Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and what they're doing. Deshaun Watson.
I would take Deshaun Watson over Tom Brady.
He won the Super Bowl last year and had his best season ever. I get that. Yeah. Deshaun Watson led the league last year in passing yards. He had 33 touchdowns. He had his best input as it relates to interceptions thrown. He was 33 versus 7 with 4,800 passing yards in a dysfunctional organization. And this is 2 years in a row in which he's done that. His case won't be tried and won't be heard until next year, which means he'll be able to play this whole season out. And then next year we're going off the hearsay, which is very ironic timing by the Houston Texans to produce the information. He could play this whole year, get to the playoffs on a team that is ready in the Dolphins that we talked about, and maybe do something in the AFC, and then deal with the legal ramifications of what's going on with him next season, and then maybe miss 4 games. 4 games for the rest of the Dolphins franchise career with Deshaun Watson, and then you'll send him for a tour. I don't think it's a bad deal.
The Eagles were always mentioned as a second or third team, but now that they've shored up their backup quarterback, getting Gardner Minshew for a bag of balls.
My God.
Now, first of all, I want you to look over your shoulders and look at that Dolphin logo. What the hell happened to the Dolphins logo, by the way? Can you put the helmet back on the Dolphin and let him jump through the
PC
damn
culture.
Okay, that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing is this is a done deal.
Yeah.
It would have been a done deal months ago.
You've been on this for quite a while now, correct? You've been on this.
I said he is the perfect guy to go into the Dolphins. Houston's going nowhere. He'll never play another down for the Texans. Miami has a surplus of number ones. Houston gave away all their number ones thanks to Bill O'Brien. So they get a couple of number ones, maybe a 2, and they get Tua. Tua starts brand new in Houston. Nothing's expected of him. It's a perfect situation. It's going to happen. If I were you, fantasy-wise, I'd put Deshaun Watson only in 8% right now of all fantasy teams. Put him on your bench.
And everybody wins. I think the Houston Texans win because they're able to remove themselves of Deshaun Watson and what's been going on, and even the beef that they had before the legal thing started. He wanted out of there. He didn't want to be there. They wanted to keep him, so it was already some friction. And then the legal things come out. So it gives them a chance to remove him. And then you get a quarterback in Tua. Let's not forget, he was 7-3 last year. as a starting.
Yeah, people forget about that.
He was
right?
7-3 as a starting quarterback last year, and he was a first-round pick, and he's won a national championship. So you get to start over fresh. I think it's a good win.
And he's healthy.
And he's healthy finally. After he wasn't healthy coming into his rookie year. He was coming off that horrendous an ankle accident that happened. So both teams get a chance to start over. I think it's a good win all around. And our boy Maz has been on it for months once again.
Jim Harbaugh has named a starting quarterback at Michigan. We will get that to you next, 30 seconds from now. This is Armani and Edwards with
Is
Maz.
it a name we know?
It is somebody we know.
Brian Greasy?
No!
And Scott Drysby?
Woodward Sports Network.
Do you know why realtors love using Hall Financial as a lender? Because of our commitment to speed and service. We have nearly 4,000 five-star reviews already. Call today, 248-308-5000, or go to callhallfirst.com.
Game week.
Okay,
Braylon.
I see the moves. I see the
come
moves.
on.
Let me see the shoulder work.
This
Let me
is
see the
about
shoulder
as good
work.
as it gets for a 42-year-old
the
white
shoulder
man
work.
with no rhythm.
Stop the shoulder work. Stop the shoulder
What
work.
did Will Smith say in Hitch? Stay
He said,
right
"Stay
here.
here.
This
Stay
is
right
where
here.
you live.
This is
right
where you
here.
live."
Do not move outside this little barrier.
You lived
here.
outside that at the concert. I saw you. I saw you at the Guns N'
Yeah,
Roses
but I
concert.
might have had some libations as well to give me a little courage there.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Jim Harbaugh is named as starting quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines.
Who is it?
It is Cade McNamara.
No surprise.
Did he recruit him?
Why you got him? Come on.
Come on,
Sorry.
man. It's positivity over
Look,
here.
I'm positive.
It's game
You're
week.
positive he recruited him.
It is game week for the Michigan Wolverines. Consistency was one of the reasons that Harbaugh highlighted when talking about it to the media today. And look, we're going to see where this thing goes, right? I mean, Cade McNamara, the ball is yours. Joe Milton is going to start for Tennessee. He left Michigan, transferred. So the ball is in Cade McNamara's pocket now, or wherever you want to say it.
Dylan McCaffrey left as well.
Dylan McCaffrey left as well. I really like that kid for whatever reason. Maybe because it was his last name, but I just really like the kid. And then, J.J. McCarthy, he'll be a backup. And the transfer from
Alan Bowen?
Yes.
Yeah, Alan Bowen from
Mund
Texas
or whatever.
Tech.
From him.
That guy.
Right.
Joe Milton's going to start for Tennessee, by the way.
Nah, Tennessee's no good. They're just
I'm
like,
just saying.
yeah, they're no good.
He started for
a lot of
Michigan
talent
last year.
They produce a lot of talent every year.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the Cade McNamara pick. I think that, I've talked to some of their players in the last year or so. They all were high on him. They like Cade McNamara. They like what he can do. I've actually talked to some people inside the program, and they love his athletic ability, his leadership, kind of his moxie, kind of like a John Moxon type quarterback, varsity brew. There's a varsity brews reference right there. But they like the guy. So give this guy the reins. Like, make it a unanimous. I think the problem sometimes up there in Ann Arbor is you don't necessarily side with a guy that everybody agrees with. I think Cade is a guy that the players agree with, the coaches agree with. So, let him have fun behind that experienced offensive line. Kind of like the skill position that has been experienced. And he has Hassan Haskins in the backfield. So there could be some success there, but I think this was the right choice by Jim Harbaugh.
I have not done my Western Michigan preview prep
I don't think anybody has.
or anything like that. I apologize to you. But Michigan, man, I hope they just bury Western Michigan. Come out and just dominate a football team. Dominate a football game against what we believe, anyway, is an inferior opponent. Do so at home, build some momentum, and get to Washington week.
Michigan hasn't done necessarily well over the past, could even stretch back a little further.
I mean,
maybe
think
the
about
last
that Army game.
the
They
12
went in,
years.
overtime or
Michigan
whatever.
hasn't done, and then the Army starting quarterback got hurt.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. Michigan hasn't done a tremendous job of making you comfortable with the opening games or the inferior, as Coach Carr used to say, you always have to beat inferior teams. And we were doing that up until the Appalachian State game, and then it's like, well, we've always beat the MAC schools, and then Rich Rod, they lose to Toledo, but they haven't done a good job of that. So to your point, I need to see a win, but I don't necessarily need to see dominance. I just need to see a team that looks head and shoulders above the other.
I want to see like a 42-14 game.
I would love that, but I'm also reserving my expectations. Like I would love to see 72-6, like an Ohio State or Wisconsin type game. But I'm reserving my expectations. I would like to see a team that looks better than the other, and they win by at least 3 touchdowns.
2 players that jumped out off the page this weekend in college football. Zach Charbonnet, remember him, former Michigan running back, led UCLA 8 carries, 106 yards, 3 touchdowns. How about Zach Charbonnet, man? Look at that. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitter, or if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing the video right now.
It's 38 yards of crack.
How about that, Zach Charbonnet?
That's a transfer guy, man. We've talked about that.
And then Oliver Martin.
Another one.
What's the deal with this kid? He did catch a touchdown pass.
We got him against Rutgers right here.
He scored a touchdown pass. Scored a touchdown. Now has a touchdown catch with Michigan, Iowa, and now Nebraska.
That might be some type of record.
Isn't that something?
What in the world?
All in the same conference.
First player in the history of Big Ten football to score a touchdown with 3 Big Ten teams.
He won't be the last based on the transfer portal and how wide that door is open.
I mean, at that point, you have commitment issues, don't you? If you're playing for 3 Big Ten teams.
I'm just interested, and this is a touchdown from this past Saturday. I think I want to say on the left corner, wide open. They could have thrown Martinez could have thrown it to him or the tight end that was behind him. How long has Martinez been there? By the way, it seems like he's been
72 years.
He's been like been there 7 years because he got there before Scott Frost. But here's the interesting thing. We keep talking about transfer. You talk about Zach Charbonnet, who was here a couple years ago. You talk about Oliver Martin. What's the deal with Michigan and transfers? I was doing some research, and I found out they have 39 transfers since 2017. In the last year, they're number 1 with 21.
Wow.
And I'm doing some homework, and I'm figuring out. I'm like, what could that be? And what I'm noticing, Ryan, is it's not talent. It's not talent that it was balling in Michigan. It's not guys that were just balling out in Michigan and something happened or something went awry with the relationship, so they left. It's been guys that are middle of the road guys don't have tons of stats, or guys that were always on the up next list and never got chose. You know what that tells me, Maz? You know what that tells me, Ryan? It tells me it has to do with recruiting. You go and recruit these guys, you give them scholarships, you bring them to Ann Arbor. They don't meet the mustard because they never could meet the mustard. They weren't what you wasted scholarships on these guys. You keep going into the wrong living rooms. You keep going into the wrong stadiums on Friday night, and you're bringing in the wrong guys, and they're transferring because they're not the right guy. It's a reason why they're waiting for so long, because a lot of them are graduate transfers. It's a reason why they're waiting for so long. They're just not that good, which means it's a recruiting issue.
Harbs.
Or the assistant coaches. Right?
And that's a very good point. There's no development with the exception of the O-line develops. They develop well. Linebacker position had developed for some time, and the cornerback position had developed. Outside of cornerback, offensive line, and linebacker, you got a point. You mix it with bad recruits, bad coaching, and you get guys that transfer.
Hey, look at. There's a good article today. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Pete Thamel of the New York Times. The coaches that are on the hot seat, 2 of them, of course, are Jim Harbaugh, Scott Frost in Nebraska. They're just underachieving. And these are guys that were stars for these colleges. They go back to these schools, and they're missing something. I don't know what it is. This is a guy in Harbaugh that would sleep in a freaking treehouse to get a guy like Quinn Nordine over here. But he's getting the wrong guys, like Braylon is saying. I mean, this has got to be it. Is this got to be it this year? Is this it? To win 9-10 games at least?
Yes. I think Michigan has to win 9 games this year
more.
At least. Maybe more.
And it's possible because
more.
it's just with the exception of Penn State, who's returning a lot of starters, and Penn State looks pretty good. Ohio State, we don't have to talk about them. They're going to be what they're going to be. Wisconsin in the West, Iowa's pretty good. With the exception of those teams, this is a wide open Big Ten. So it's not unfair to say that Jim Harbaugh in Michigan could win some games, should win some games. This is going to be a very trying year for Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines, because there's going to be more games that they could win than we think now. And you're going to look at the end when they don't win those games like, he did it again. They did it again. So it's going to be an interesting year.
We'll do Man Chill Out next. This is Hermione and Edwards. We got Maz with us here too, which is always a good thing. You're watching Woodward Sports Network.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Hey, it's Maz for our good friends, our studio sponsors at MyBookie.ag. It's winning season at MyBookie. You can bet it. That's the place to do. And don't forget, use that promo code Woodward. They'll match your first deposit every dollar for dollar, up to $1,000. That's right. Use Woodward and win free money. To bet on NFL, NCAA, week number 2 this week. Week number 1, of course, for Michigan and Michigan State. State plays on Friday. Michigan plays on Saturday. They're a 17-point favorite over Western Michigan. Who are you going to take? You don't have to tell me now. How about the NFL? Preseason's over. It is time. The over-unders, you could still get it in, and you could still bet the future bets on the NFL. Do it all, of course, with MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Gambling problem? Call the National Problem Gaming Helpline at 1-800-522-4700.
All right, if you are watching on Twitter, if you were watching on YouTube, we certainly appreciate your participation in the show. If you're new to us, tell a friend. We're here from 2 to 4 live every day on Twitter, on YouTube. We've got the Woodward Sports app that you could download if you want to listen to us in the car. Or you could just watch us at home on television as well. Just talk into your remote, say Woodward Sports on YouTube.
A lot of people are working from home, so that's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Check us out there. We certainly appreciate your participation in the show. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway. It is time now for a segment we like to call Man Chill Out.
You think it's funny?
Chill, Daddy.
Pack your bags, get the hell off. Now, do you understand what you did?
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
That is right. How about that? So, okay, I got to get to this, guys. Bill Belichick had some thoughts on his starting quarterbacks. Cam Newton, former MVP of the league, and Mac Jones, the 15th overall pick, a player they traded up. No, they didn't trade up to get him, but he just
right
all of a sudden fell right in their lap.
We're not used to the Patriots being at 15.
Right, exactly.
They had their hand played perfectly.
Exactly. So there are 3 preseason games played, and they are done with. And still, Bill Belichick is not ready to name a starting quarterback. Here's how it went down.
You referenced a little earlier about opponents and trying to figure out what your opponents are doing. As we sit here trying to figure out who the starting quarterback will be, isn't it better for you to drag out giving that intel to the Miami Dolphins so that they don't know? This isn't like baseball where you have to announce it. Do you have to announce who your starting quarterback is to the world? And is there an advantage in your preparation if your opponent doesn't know?
Again, I would just say, Tom, that what we're going to do is what we feel is best for our football team, and that's what it'll be. So that's really the bottom line. There's a lot of different things to talk about, but whatever it is, it'll be what we feel is best for the team, like we always do.
Yeah, and would it be best for the team to keep that under wraps?
Or would it be best for the team to know what the situation is at certain positions?
Yep.
Seriously,
that was some hell of an insight wasn't it? Thanks,
this
Bill.
guy, come on.
It works for him, though.
Yeah, it does. It works for him because
it drives us crazy.
It works for him because he wins. But I mean, if you're come on, whoever you're playing week 1, if you think that you're playing games, if you think that that team or whoever isn't going to be, is going to benefit by, sorry guys, if you think that team is going to benefit by not knowing who the starting quarterback is or whatever the case may be,
like high school,
it's like that. It's in high school,
high school
right?
football.
Thanks, partner. Seriously, come on. So I say to Bill Belichick for not naming a starting quarterback. You know, Mac Jones finished 36 of 52, 389 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions for a rookie.
Ballin'!
No interceptions for a rookie. And he's not your starting quarterback. He will be named the starting quarterback, but because he has not been named yet, I say to you, Bill Belichick, man, chill out.
I understand exactly what you're saying. But I understand what Bill Belichick is trying to do. And the reason why I say that is, just hear me out. Just hear me out. If you go Mac Jones and Mac Jones doesn't perform, you can't go back to Cam Newton. You can't go back to Cam Newton, try to figure it out, and then try to go back to Mac Jones. You've already shattered a little bit of Mac Jones' confidence, and it makes you look kind of unfit to make that call in the situation. If you go Cam Newton, you got a guy that went 2-1 last year in his first 3 games. Should have went 3-0. They didn't finish the job in Seattle. Then he gets COVID and never recovered. So now you add more players on the defense. You add more players around him on offense. If Cam starts, who, like you said, is an MVP quarterback, who has bought into the Belichick way, who teammates love him despite what the media and everybody says, the teammates out there in New England and Foxborough, they love him. I would start with him and then go from there.
Does Cam Newton give you the best chance to win the football game in week 1? He played 2 series with the starters this week. 2 of 5 passing, 10 yards, and a pick.
The pick wasn't his fault. The receiver dropped the pass and the cornerback caught it. It was a 40-yard completion.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I think
enough.
I think so. I think he gives you the best chance.
He stinks
right now. You said what?
He stinks.
They stink.
He stinks.
They stink. You stink.
Cam's done. The only thing Cam can do is jump over the goal line for a touchdown or a first down.
You keep putting Cam Newton in situations where he can't have success. What did Carolina do for Cam in the last 4 years? Nothing.
That was 20 years ago.
I said, what did they do for him in the last 4 years that he was there? Nothing. They didn't put anything around him. Everybody retired. Everyone got hurt. Like, what do you want him to do?
Right. He can't throw anymore.
He just threw a rocket to the receiver who dropped it.
Okay.
It's a rocket off his back foot. I disagree. Put him in the right situation.
What do you know about football?
Nothing, apparently. Nothing, apparently.
Braylon, you're up.
Mine's is a good one. I went down. I traveled to the county of Duval in Florida, where a team named the Jacksonville Jaguars reside. They traded Gardner Minshew for a pack of smokes to the Philadelphia Eagles. They traded Gardner Minshew for a 6th-round draft pick that could become a 5th-round draft pick, but probably will not. That is nothing. In a league of quarterbacks, first of all, they traded a guy that was 37 and 11 in terms of touchdowns to picks in his starts. 37-11, you know how hard that is to come by? And he's still a young guy. Gardner Minshew, I want to say, is 26. Gardner Minshew, 26, 37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions in a league that is dying for quarterbacks. I take Gardner Minshew over everybody in Denver right now.
He's going to be starting for Philly. He's going to be starting for Philly.
I'll take Gardner Minshew over everybody in Denver right now. I take Gardner Minshew as, something happened with COVID down in Indianapolis Colts. Why not get Gardner Minshew? What about the Detroit Lions? How do you give this guy away? This is a bargaining chip. This is something that you could have got way more for. You didn't get anything for. Now what happens if Trevor Lawrence gets hurt, gets COVID, doesn't meet the mark set by Urban Meyer? Now you got Gardner Minshew. This was nothing more than them trying to get rid of Gardner Minshew so that they could give Trevor Lawrence more confidence that he didn't have to keep looking over his back. I don't mind that, but you didn't get anything for it. You dropped the ball. It was a terrible trade. You flubbed it. You flubbed one, and it's okay, but not at your level in the front office with the Jacksonville Jaguars when you're trying to build a franchise. It's not okay. You know what? You guys to that trade, man, chill out.
Excellent.
I appreciate it. I'm trying to get better, man. I'm trying to get better.
Excellent.
The Cowboys are another team. Danuccio, or whatever the hell his name is, he's your backup?
Not
really?
the way to go.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway,
I agree.
Let me set it up for you. Trent Dilfer, Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Ravens. Underachieving quarterback, not the best in the world. But here he is. Then he goes to ESPN. You got Dilfer's Dimes. I think he's one of the best analysts on television. Ryan, what's your little sidebar to that Trent Dilfer story on TV?
Well, What are you talking about? The plane story?
Yeah.
Well,
Good old Trent.
I cannot confirm this.
Nor deny.
Is he a pain in the neck?
I can't. Huh?
Is he a pain in the neck kind of guy?
I heard one of the reasons why he left ESPN is it was a contract dispute. And again, this is sixth and seventh hand passed over. Yeah. But he wanted use of a private plane like Kirk Herbstreit has use of a private plane. But the thing with Herbstreit is the private plane, he's got same-day travel. He does college game day, then they put him on the plane, and he goes to wherever he's calling the game at night. So, he wanted the Kirk Herbstreit treatment.
And it's not
ESPN.
just him; it's him and Fowler.
Right.
They go together because they call the games together.
So Dilfer's kind of a prima donna, maybe.
And ESPN told Dilfer, "Man, chill out."
I'll let you finish because I can tell you stories about Dilfer.
So I'm going to continue. You're going to get your chance. So he goes to coach in Nashville at this academy called Lipscomb Academy. He's the head football coach. This was from last weekend's game, from Friday night's game. Let's give you a piece of video here of him disciplining a player. You could bring it up. Bring it up loud.
Trent Dilfer doesn't like when his players talk back. Trent Dilfer doesn't like when his players...
That's what Penei Sewell should look like. He walked him back.
So
that's terrible.
He sits this kid down, and he is the son of a former NFL player. Tell us about that one, Bray.
So that was Bo Dawson. Bo Dawson is the son of Phil Dawson, who was a long time and most accurate kicker for the Cleveland Browns,
Dawson?
who I actually played with as well. Like at the end of the day, Trent's a jerk. Like like nobody.
Wait, this is my chill out. Hold on.
I was talking
I just
about
wanted you to set it up.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
So he pushes this kid, Bo Dawson, around, and he comes back. He apologizes for the way he acted. Some high school coaches says he overreacted. Personally, I don't think he overreacted. I think he's coaching football. He's on the sidelines. He's pushing a guy down on the bench. He's telling him, sit your butt down, blah, blah, blah. I just think people just get too much. You can't put your hands on a guy. He's touching his shoulder pads. He's not hitting him in the helmet. He's not doing anything like that.
About that, man.
Okay, well, I'm saying you chill out.
I don't know
That's
about
what I'm saying. He didn't do anything wrong.
He did. He had his hands inside the guy's hand. He had his hands inside the guy's chest plate.
Let's get back into this conversation in just a little bit. We have a champion on the line with us right now.
Go back to
I want to take a quick 30-second break. Quick 30-second break as we hit the top of the hour here. We've got Rick Thorning on with us. He is the manager, head coach of the Little League World Series champion boys from Taylor North. He'll join us in 30 seconds.
Welcome to the Call Sam Chopper Shop, where you can win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time.
Watch as the Bad Pig Custom team turns this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
And when it's finished, we'll be donating the bike to Volunteers of America Michigan to raffle off in support of our vets.
A great cause to give back to those who've given so much.
Watch for Call Sam Chopper Shop episodes on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
It is a pleasure right now to bring in the manager, the head coach of the Taylor North boys, who took us on a ride that we will never forget. The great Rick Thorning. There he is there. All right. Hey, woo. All right, Rick. Good, man. How are you doing? Have you waken up from this dream yet?
Not yet. We're still on our way home right now. We're making the drive back. We just stopped off at a hotel and came here and asked if I could use their meeting room. And as we're walking in, I have my son Cameron with me.
There we go. That's the man right there.
Hey, Rick, turn your phone sideways, Rick. Turn your phone sideways.
I was trying to. It's not letting me. It's just kind of sitting.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Leave it the way it is. Then.
Yeah, leave it the way it is.
We'll take the champs as is.
Rick, when you started this journey, this is always the dream. But could you have ever imagined this is actually how it would finish?
No, absolutely not. I mean, you think about it, and it's not to discredit anything with our league and Taylor, so we've had phenomenal baseball players, but you almost think like the Little League World Series is kind of too big for us. It's one of those things to where, that's not our thing. But, these kids have worked so hard to get where they were, and the talent, these kids just have baseball talent. and they're very, very coachable. And when we get to the stage that we are on, like, you know, you get out on that field and you realize that you belong there. These kids belong here with that. You take a lot of pride in that.
Hey, Rick, man, once again, congratulations, you and your son in the back. Walk us through the process, because as my understanding, they take the top 2 in each division, or the top 2 in each district around the country, or the regions. I take that back. They take the top 2 in each region, and then to get the 32 teams. Walk us through that process of just becoming a top 2, let alone actually making it through the whole playoff format to get to the World Series. Talk us about qualifying just to be one of the top 2.
Yeah, you know, it's very difficult. It's such a long road to go through, and you know, you got to win your district tournament, then you got to win your state tournament, and in that state tournament, there's some great teams with Grosse Pointe, and there's some great teams in Bay City, and those guys are really, really talented teams. And then once you get past that state tournament, you got to go to the regionals, and everybody belongs there. Everybody belongs there. You have to play good baseball. You have to play your A game, and you know, since there's no international teams brought into the Little League World Series this year, they brought 2 from each region in there, which I think is a great, phenomenal idea to have all United States teams in there if they weren't going to have international teams in there. And you get 2 teams out of the region. So that road itself is crazy to get through. And when you get to the World Series, everybody there everybody's fine with, you know, getting to the World Series, and if you don't win it, you don't win it, and you tip your cap to everybody else because you're there, and it's amazing. But to come out on top, it's still kind of hard to believe.
Talking to Rick Thorning, the manager, the head coach of the Taylor North World Series champion team. What a ride this has been. How has this been with your son, too? Because, you know, we watch all the games that are on ESPN and ABC. Just a tremendous ball player back there. What's it like for you? Because I feel like he was so calm playing, and as a parent, I would have been a mess inside. But Cam looked like an old pro. I mean, he was just taking everything in stride. The moment never seemed to be too big for him. How I think that alone is such an incredible place to get to.
Oh yeah, you know, Cameron's been like that for a while now. I know he's only 12 years old, but he's very humble, and he's very to himself. The stage can't get too big for him. And you know, as a coach and as a parent, you know, I really, when I'm coaching third base, I want to lose my mind sometimes. When he does. And I can't. I got to keep myself composed, and I got another kid stepping in that batter's box right after him. And so I let the parents and I let the crowd, you know, show their appreciation for that. And I do too when we get back to our hotel or get back to our dorm. You know, I take my coaching shoes off and I become a dad for a little bit and show, you know, my appreciation for him. And he's very humble about it. He's a 12-year-old kid. When he gets done, it's like I was joking around. You know, we get back to the dorm and it's like I got to tell him he's got to take a shower, that he can't take one in the morning. And it's just, you know, it's everything a 12-year-old kid would do, and the game's over, and it's, you know, we're on to the next game, and I love watching him and I love coaching.
Well, we want to get the man in the background, man. We want to get the chill 12-year-old Cam into the picture and ask him a question. Cam, you know, the 12-year-old kids nowadays, you guys are a lot more mature. Your mental is a lot more locked in than your father's, mine, Ryan, Maz. Like, we weren't that locked in at 12. We were goofing off, drinking. You know,
Cam, I'm still not locked in at 42.
Big league chew. You know, so but talking about still being a kid, winning the championship, congrats again on that. Just tell me about some of the fun moments of the tournament. Like, what stood out to you? Like, what was exciting? You know, you got the championship, you got the dub. What was exciting about it? Like, what took you there to that place?
I mean, we've been just playing good baseball throughout district, states, regionals, and Little World Series. And we haven't really stopped. Our hitting is good. Like, we've been hitting and we haven't stopped. And I really miss to stop or not give up. And just keep going while we're playing through the series. And it was really fun to meet all of the other teams in the Little World Series. And the last day or the last 2 days we were there, the COVID testing wasn't there anymore, so we kind of got to go around and meet all the other players.
That's good.
Hey, guys, it's Tom Mazaway. I want to thank you for coming on, pulling over on Route 80 on your way home here to Michigan. And I know that route very well. I know what you guys are up to. I'm glad you got out of the mountains of Pennsylvania so you can get this interview done. I wanted to ask you about that team from Hawaii, man. They were some leap to get over that team. They hit you one day. The next day you come back, and 2 days later, and you beat them in a 2-1 game. How tough was that team?
Oh, they were very tough, and we knew that going in. We watched a lot of video on these guys from their regionals, and Hawaii's always been a good team ever since I was playing baseball younger. And we knew they were good, and it was a great ball game. They beat us 2-0. They one-hit us, and to go through our lineup like that is very tough to do. And you tip your cap to them. They were phenomenal. Their defense was great. We hit the ball really, really well. They actually robbed one of Cameron's home runs. They brought it back in on that. It was an amazing play. But I felt confident after that game. I knew that we would get in another game like that with them, and we did. Just this time we were out on, we came out on the winning end of that.
Hey, Rick, coming back Thursday, it's going to be a big day in Taylor. You guys going to be riding in Cadillacs? What are they going to have you in Taylor, Michigan, for that parade?
I hear we got some trucks coming in yet. I'm not sure which trucks are coming in, but I've actually had people I've had some people call family members of mine and offer their old sports cars for me to drive in the parade. So, and they're sending me pictures and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know if you guys want me to do that.
Speaking of parades, I'm just going to say it now. These guys should be the Grand Marshal in the Thanksgiving Day Parade. They're doing the Thanksgiving Day Parade this year, bringing it back for COVID. You guys should be the Grand Marshal. Nothing has happened more significant in Michigan sports or Michigan this year, except you guys, man. Congratulations again.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Rick, I know everybody's been asking for your time today and throughout the last week. We really appreciate your time here on the network, and we're so proud of you guys. Taylor Taylor has always been on the map, but certainly now your place in history will last forever. Rick Thorning, we can't thank you enough.
Congrats.
Thank you guys. I wouldn't pass up the opportunity to talk to you guys, man.
Congrats again. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Don't forget Turkey Day, man. I'm telling you, Grand Marshal.
Braylon is leading the charge here. Braylon is leading the charge here. Rick, maybe one of these days we could buy you a beer one day too. We'd love to catch up with you. All right.
Not you, Cam. Not you, Cam.
All right. I'll get you a cheese, but you guys should never have to pay for food in Taylor ever again, by the way.
Oh, man.
We'll see you guys. Thanks.
Take it easy, Rick.
Rick.
Have a safe drive.
We'll see you guys. How great is that? I mean, can you imagine what a great monumental moment for these kids, for the coaches, for the families?
I think the cool thing about it is just look how the father and son dynamic, and Maz talks about it all the time, just baseball being a romantic sport, but you see the father, coach, son dynamic. Like, he was genuinely excited for his son, and the son is sitting in the back genuinely excited to be, coached by his father. This is a great moment.
Is he a carbon copy of his father, by the way?
Just perfect. Maz, you've coached your kids before, too. I mean,
it's tough
can
sometimes.
you imagine what he was going through on that stage?
Oh, man.
And you're wearing a mic.
I know.
So you can't be freaking out. You know what I mean?
Maz
you don't want to do all this stuff.
I would have been canceled, man.
Bleep, 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 bleep. Expletive.
Lily, what are you doing?
Maddie, what are you doing? Yeah, but I tell you like this, for all the kids watching, and when we talk about this, even the parents, you see the exhaustion on Cam's face. Like, that's what it takes to win a championship, because that kid is exhausted.
He'll never forget it for the rest of his life. Guys, can we get back into this Trent Dilfer talk now?
Yeah.
Want to do that next. Braylon, you think he's a jerk?
He is.
30 seconds from
alone.
30 seconds from
personally.
now. Trent Dilfer is a jerk. We'll do that next. This is Armani and Edwards, Woodward Sports Network.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
It's Maz for Legacy Partners Insurance. Nobody wants to shop for insurance. Let's face it, it's expensive. It can get bad. What are we paying for, right? But you need it when something bad happens. That's why you need a local agent that knows the local insurance market. That's Legacy Partners Insurance. They're independent, so they get lots of quotes for you to compete for your business. They shop between 7 and 10 carriers for personal, over 50 carriers for your commercial accounts. They've been doing it for over 100 years, so you could trust their reputation. Give them a call, 586-209-4106. Better yet, go to the website, legacypartnersins.com/Woodward Sports. Fill out the information. Let someone from Team Maz help you out and hook you up. You'll save hundreds a month, thousands a year. Why not try it? It's free. Legacy Partners Insurance. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you.
He's so doggone good at that. He's not even looking at a sheet of paper. Man. Like when I did my first read last week, I'm down here like blah, 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 blah,
That's
blah.
Okay. I've been doing Legacy for a while.
In.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm
a Legacy guy.
Yeah. He'll be doing that.
You have the legacy.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to jump back into some Trent Dilfer talk now. If you're just joining us, there was a situation where...
We'll play the cut again.
Oh, okay, do we have that, Alex? Can we do that? All right, here it is. Trent Dilfer, now a high school football coach in Tennessee. Here it is.
Trent Dilfer doesn't like when his players talk back.
So there you go.
You can't do that.
Why not?
You can't do that. I don't pay you. I don't pay you at all. I don't put my son or entrust my son to your team, to your care, to your tutelage for you to put your hands inside his jersey. That wasn't on top of the shoulder pads, man. That was inside where the holes are. I don't put my son in your care, your tutelage for you to put your hands up underneath his shoulder pads. Walk him backwards like an offensive lineman walks back a defensive lineman, and then tell him to sit his ass down. That's what they said in the clip. That's not me. I don't do that. I don't put my son in your care for that. I ask you to coach him. I don't do all that. We don't do that. Like, he's lucky he wasn't my son. He's lucky he's Phil Dawson's kid and not mine, because there would be problems. I don't pay you to do that. I don't mind you yelling at my son. I don't mind if you guys get into, you yell at him, you tell him what's right, what's wrong. If he says something slick to you and you have to, assert your dominance as a coach, that's fine. Even if you curse at my son. If I'm watching, I get that. You can't put your hands on my son and walk him back that far and then yell at him, tell him to sit his A down. I'm not flying with that.
You know what, Braylon? I had a different thought on that before you started talking. But I kind of changed my tune a little bit, because if that is your kid, I really don't have a problem with my kid being yelled at or my kid being coached. And sometimes you need a coach to coach your kid on things that are not X's and O's. Be a good teammate. Listen on the sidelines. Listen to authority figures.
Yeah.
Be passionate.
Empathetic, etc.
I don't mind that. Ryan Armani in 1997.
Here we go again.
Well, I'm not.
the great white ghost.
I'm just saying 25 years ago.
Right.
I'm just saying 25 years ago you could do that stuff. And right now you can't.
Why?
Whether we like
What's
it
the
or
difference?
Whether we like it
What's
or
the
not.
difference?
I think the kids are different, and I think the parents are different.
You're getting coached by a former professional Super Bowl champion.
That has nothing to do with it. I don't care if he was Joe Schmo.
This ain't the plumber that's coaching your kid. This is Trent Dilfer.
It doesn't, because he's Trent Dilfer and he has a Super Bowl ring, which he didn't earn, by the way.
Yeah, he did. He started.
But that don't mean you earned it. That means you're on the team.
He got him there. Yeah, Ray Lewis.
Who got him there? The best defense of all time?
I understand that.
How do you yell at a kid these days? Seriously, if you're a football coach, though, how do you yell at a kid? Are we just objectioning to the hands on the shoulder pads?
If I put my hands under you, both of you guys are grown men. I'm bigger than you guys, but both of you guys are grown men. If I put my hand under your underarms, both you guys, and walked you back like that, you will feel strength. You will feel grown man strength, and I can walk both of you guys out of the Lady Jane studio. Now imagine being 12 years old or 14 years old at that. They're still kids, no matter how good they are on the field, no matter how exceptional they are. Like, the problem is, we were bad. We were
probably
raised
16-year-old.
Exactly.
Kids, yeah.
We were raised in an era like this, goes back years to this is wrong and it always was wrong, but we grew up knowing it. We didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And our parents didn't know any better. So this is the way in which we thought was okay. Now we realize it isn't okay, and we've corrected it.
I agree with you.
And certain people are like, oh, like that's BS.
Don't
like,
wave
you can
us
curse
off.
it. You
Don't wave you off.
Don't wave
He's
us
in a
off.
full uniform.
It doesn't
Don't
matter.
wave us off, man.
It does. What? Okay, now as he's walking him back, what if this kid isn't as athletic as he clearly is, and he trips and breaks an ankle or he blows out a knee?
But he didn't.
Because freak
You're not
accidents
wrong,
like that
Braylon.
happen.
You're not wrong.
But he wouldn't even have to be in that situation to say he didn't or did.
So you don't want Tom Izzo coaching your kid?
Not like that.
Well, he puts his hands on players.
And it's getting called out, and he's almost
Okay.
getting canceled because of it. I don't mind, like I said, I don't mind you being very harsh with your words. It happens. It's football. It's sport. I don't mind cursing. Like, I'm not. If my son called me and said, "Hey, Dad, Coach cursed me out there," good. You probably was doing some BS. You deserve to get cussed out. I don't mind that. Like, if he's extra hard on him or extra, Lloyd was extra hard on me. But this,
He ever touch you?
And then no. But this in front of the parents. So if he's doing this in front of the whole parent staff, what is he doing at practice?
Seriously.
If you can do that in front of parents, what are you doing when there are no cameras?
You're not wrong.
Have you ever watched Bill Parcells coach a game?
This isn't 40 years
I haven't
ago.
watched Bill.
Damn.
It's not 40 years ago. You can't touch
Bill
the player
Parcells
like
was
this
also
anymore.
coaching individuals that were grown men and getting paid to do the job. They knew if they didn't want to be touched like that, they could have went to the owner and asked for a trade. Those men had a choice. That kid doesn't have a choice. He has to go to that high school.
You don't think Bo Schembechler put his hands on players?
Doesn't matter about what they did. I'm telling you about what I see and what I say is not
And
okay.
it's not apples to oranges either.
Yeah.
It's not apples to apples. I mean, you're talking. You named a NFL coach and you named a college coach.
Okay,
from the 60s.
I have no reference for a high school coach.
Well, I don't.
I don't have a reference.
You
I
know,
can
do
watch
from-
Friday Night Lights.
I do from 25 years ago, but at the same time, Maz, you got to coach kids differently now. I have a friend of mine who has to coach differently. He was a strength coach at Ohio State. He was a strength coach at Maryland. He was a strength coach at Mississippi State. He cannot coach these kids the same way that he did 10 years ago.
I had a friend that coached high school basketball.
He swears.
He was coaching high school basketball right after
Can't
I
swear at
was
these
in
kids
Detroit
anymore.
in the Detroit PSL. He was at Renaissance. He was at Southeastern, a couple other schools. He got in trouble for the same thing. Putting his hands on players, and granted, they were great teams, and he was a darn good coach. But he put his hands on players, and they weren't going for that at the schools that he was at. And you're talking about 20 years ago.
Well, Trent Dilfer stepped back. He apologized. He issued a statement saying, "I shouldn't have done what I did." There were high school coaches that were very critical of him. He did step out and say, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that."
Would he have stepped out and said that if he wasn't Trent Dilfer? And I know I'm just playing devil's advocate. He stepped out because he's Trent Dilfer. He's ESPN analyst, like you said. He's Super Bowl champion, etc. He's on TV. He's in the spotlight. He's a public figure. He stepped out because of that. Now, just imagine if this is the guy that works at Ford, and then after he gets off work, he comes and coaches your kids. You know, and no one knows him. Would he have apologized? Probably not, because who is he going to apologize to?
Would he have been able to even get the one chance to put his hands on your kid?
That's even better. No,
that's the situation. If that is a coach who does that, not named Trent Dilfer, if he's just some former NFL player who's a high school football coach and he puts his hands on the kid like that, I don't believe you can coach like that now. I don't believe you can coach like that anymore. This isn't 10 years ago. It's not 20 years ago. Certainly not 30 or 40 years ago.
Unless they're state champs every year.
Yeah.
Who was your coach?
Mike McLeod, God rest his soul.
Was he a hard ass?
Yes.
Did he ever touch a player?
Yes.
Who
but
was
you
your
can't
high
do
school?
it anymore.
Who was your high school coach?
George Sahady.
Was he a tough guy?
Yes.
Did he put his hands on someone?
Yes.
How are you doing? How are you doing
technique.
today as a man?
I'm doing good.
How are you doing today as a man? Answer the question.
Fine.
Okay.
I'm just fine.
Okay.
And you
that
get
kid will be just fine.
You get the face mask.
Yeah, that kid will be
shake you.
That kid will be just fine.
Oh man,
he'll be just fine.
At the end of the day, your wonders. The kid will be fine.
Hey, can I say something to you guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
Man, chill out.
Look, man.
That coach touched my son like that. I'm gonna chill something out. All right.
Okay.
Nah.
Your dad didn't do that.
Your
dad didn't do that to your high school coach.
Didn't do what?
He didn't get in your high school.
My dad never saw
face.
me get. My dad never saw me get hit.
Well,
And
how about other fathers that saw their kids
once
get
again,
touched?
it goes to what I said though, Maz. It goes to being raised in an era where things are wrong, but we don't know that, so we accept it. Acceptance is the key. Acceptance doesn't make it right. It just makes it, this is what we were taught. But when you finally break it down and you realize, oh, you know what, that technically isn't the right thing, then you look at things different.
I understand.
Yeah.
And plus, when you're a jerk, you don't get the benefit of the doubt either. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that
Trent's not the best guy. I played with him. He actually was a quarterback for Cleveland Browns when I was drafted. He just did jerk moves. I mean, he's that type of guy. Like, he was that way. That's why he's gone from ESPN. That's why he doesn't have a job in the analyst world. With that being said, I don't mind jerks being jerks in terms of me taking it away from if they're good or something or not. He's a darn good quarterback analyst. Trent Dilfer is one of the sharpest minds I've ever been around as it relates to breaking down an offense or the quarterback position as a whole. That's why his camp was so successful over the years. He had some of the top, Eli's and Peyton's and, Phil Rivers, a ton of quarterbacks come through his camp because he knows his stuff. He's sharp. But when it comes to just a person and his, how he is, he's a D.
Hey, look,
DB.
I got picked on as a kid. I had a million friends.
No.
But I got picked on.
I don't believe that.
I got picked on left and right. But you know what? I didn't give a damn. There'd be sometimes I'd go home and be upset and cry in my soup and take my football. They would actually take my damn football from me half the time. I'm just being honest. I'm still friends with those guys.
True.
I'm still friends with them today.
The other reason you can't
I grew
do that,
up. I'm fine.
Other reason you can't do that is I disagree to a certain extent. It's different than when we were kids. You're a little older than us. It's different than when you were a kid. Like, kids are now that pressure and that thing that they're seeing. They're resorting to something called suicide. Like, how many suicides? Like, we're the #1 leading high school suicide state in the country for sports. Like, high school suicides, Michigan's #1. Like, that's the other angle that you have to mention in there. Is like, let's say this kid doesn't have strong mental, doesn't have strong parents, sees this goes viral. Now he feels weak. Now he feels the need to take his life. Like, that's the world we live in.
I know,
so
that's
another
sad.
reason. That's another reason why you got to look at this differently than we might have looked at it in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s.
It's so true, and it's an aspect you don't think of. Now this kid is embarrassed. He went
viral. He's a meme.
In a viral video, this kid has been embarrassed.
But he didn't really. All he did is sit him down, push him, and sit him down. Why is he? Is that really that embarrassing?
I don't know what it's like to be a kid. I don't know what it's like to be a 16-year-old kid in 2021.
I'm glad.
I don't know what it's
Ask
like
Robbie.
to be.
Ask Robbie or Monty.
It's tough, I mean, I don't know. It's got to be tough to be a teenager these days. Guys, if you got a thought on this, we can get to it, but I got to get to a break. And then when we come back, I want to get into some Mets players who are booing the fans, actually. Grown men booing the fans. Is that ever a good idea? Monty and Edwards with Maz, who was always picked on as a kid, but he's fine now. So
I still get picked on.
He's fine now.
Look,
So
everyone
it's
on me.
okay. Woodward Sports
Guess
Network.
what? I don't care.
I love you though.
Opa! Introducing Papa Romano's new Greek pizza, a tasty blend of bold Greek flavors and Mediterranean toppings, including feta cheese and Greek dressing. Get a large Greek pizza for a limited time for $16.99. Order now at paparomanos.com.
Hey everybody, Levels in Centerline is now open. Come experience the next Levels in cannabis on Sherwood between 9 and 10 Mile. Download their app today and start collecting points so you can level up. Search Enjoy Levels in the Apple or Google Play stores. Make sure you stop by Levels today and you mention Woodward Sports sent you.
And there it is, Armani and Edwards on a Monday.
And Maz.
We got Maz. I love that. Maz is like, I was picked on. They took my football.
I'm still picked on.
They took my lunch.
My own family picks on me.
Nobody picks on
yes,
you.
Yes, they do.
I don't believe it.
I'm fine.
I don't believe it.
I go home, watch Leave It to Beaver. I'll be fine.
I can't hear you.
We can't even hear you. All right, we'll get back to Fish in a minute. Fish in the booth had something.
Yeah, we appreciate the attempt, Fish. Guys, let me put up the New York Post back page here.
Back page, watch out.
This booze for you. And this is in reference to the Mets' Javier Baez and Francisco Lindor.
They're frickin' frack.
I mean, seriously, what in the world? Javi Baez on the thumbs down sign. Mets players have been flashing to the crowd after their hits. When we don't get success, we're going to get booed. So they, talking about the fans, are going to get booed when we get success. So you're talking about two of the most talented players in baseball, by the way.
Underachieving, by the way.
Javier Baez and Francisco Lindor playing for a Mets team that can't buy a win. Although I think they won yesterday. I mean, this is just a disaster what's happening to the Mets. But
typical.
Guys, this is never a good idea to pick a fight with the fans. Can we agree on that? I mean, I kind of think it's funny sitting here in Detroit. That it's happening in New York, but it's never a good thing. Let me throw the tweet up, or the statement up from Sandy Alderson, the general manager. In a post-game press conference today, Javi Baez stated that his thumbs-down gesture during the game was a message to fans who recently have booed him and other players for poor performance. These comments and any gestures by him or other players with similar intent are totally unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Mets fans are understandably frustrated over the team's recent performance. The players and the organization are equally frustrated, but fans at Citi Field have every right to express their own disappointment. Booing is every fan's right. The Mets will not tolerate any player's gesture that is unprofessional in its meaning or is directed in a negative way towards our fans. I will be meeting with our players and staff to convey this message directly. Mets fans are loyal, passionate, knowledgeable, and more than willing to express themselves. We love every one of them, every one of these qualities. I will tell you, this couldn't have been a stronger message from Sandy Alderson. It was necessary. It had to happen. And you got to set these guys straight. It is never right to pick on your customers.
And the owner, Steve Cohen, backed him up big time.
Newsflash, that's what fans do. That's what they buy tickets to do.
You played in New York.
And newsflash, when you suck, the fans are going to let you know. When you consistently suck, the fans are really going to let you know. At the end of the day, this happens. Like, leave the fans alone. Like, I thought it was funny. I agree with you. I think it's funny. I think sometimes you don't want to go after fans because fans, they know how to press the hot buttons. I've had things said about me that I don't care to repeat on the air, whether it was, some rhetoric they were trying to just get under my skin or something they were trying to make fun of a situation or whatever. But that's a fan's right. I buy tickets to a game if you suck. Newsflash, or another newsflash, if you actually are playing well, fans won't boo. Or even better, if you're showing some type of effort, like if showing some type of in the right direction. Fans only boo when it's a consistent string. When the Lions were 0-16, the fans booed because they were 0-16 and they saw that. Like, the fans don't boo when the Lions lose. They boo when the Lions, when they just give the game away or when they do stupid stuff. Well, I guess which is all the time. But I don't have a problem with it. And the owner coming out, I love the Wilpon family with the New York Mets. He had to make a strong statement because you got to let the rest of the team know that this isn't going to be allowed. And I guarantee you other owners from around MLB probably say, hey, look, you better set them straight because we don't want our players trying that BS either. So I guarantee this message isn't just from the Mets. I guarantee it's from all 32, and it came down on all the players. Now the players know. Because they'll heavy-fine you easy. Nobody wants to do this and think it's cute, and then you look in the locker and you see a pink slip for $100,000. Like, that's how you hurt players. So I get it. It was funny. Don't do it again because that's what a fan's job to do is to boo. They're not throwing stuff at you. They're not hitting you with batteries like they do in Oakland. Just take it and keep moving.
This is a team I grew up rooting for, along with the Yankees. But this team is this is a special team. They're lovable losers. They've won 2 World Series in their history. Series. They've won 2. They went in a Subway. They lost that one to the Yankees. Nonetheless, they were born in 1962 like me, so they're a little special to me. This team backed up a Brinks truck for Francisco Lindor. They paid him. They gave up a ransom to get him. They trade for Javi Baez. They give away last year's #1 pick. Could be a star, a pitcher. Give him the Cubs are laughing right now. Javi Baez is a head case. He's going to be a free agent coming up, by the way. The Tigers looking for a shortstop. Please do not sign Javi Baez. Hopefully it's going to be Carlos Correa coming here to the D next season. And we have to talk about how A.J. Hinch is going to bat for his team, too. We forgot to mention that, and I even have to mention that. But this Mets team is dysfunctional. These guys, hey, guys, we pay to see you. You don't pay to see us. We can do whatever the hell we want as long as we don't throw things at you, as long as we don't hurt your family and stuff like that. It's a fan's right to boo. If you're batting 120 and you're making $20 million a year, we can boo you. That's just flat out simple. That's the way.
Especially if you go ahead.
The funny thing about it is, I like what he did in the press conference. This is what players are doing. They're getting smart. Like, I did this gesture, or I did something that didn't make sense, or I had a bad game where I said something. So you know how I'm going to counteract that? I'm going to have my gorgeous son or gorgeous daughter sit on my lap as I tell you why I think it's okay to boo. That was a great ploy, but it didn't work.
You know, it's funny too, because if you enjoy living and playing in a city like New York, you take the good with the bad, and that's a really easy way to get a ticket out of there too, unless you don't want to play there anymore. You know, because you could force a trade. I mean, if the fan base hates a particular player,
it's a wrap.
It's a
a wrap. No matter how good you are,
no matter what your contract is, they're going to get you out of there.
We don't like you. You're not our type of player, and you made a mockery of us. So we will never forgive you. It doesn't matter what you do. You can win them a cup. The only thing that Javi Baez can do for them is win them a World Series. And even then, they would just be happy you won it and still say negative things about you behind your back.
Hey, Reggie Jackson was booed many times when he was a New York Yankee. He's the kind of personality that would laugh. He would turn around and he would take a bow to the fans.
Embrace it.
He would embrace it. That's what you have to do. You don't run away like you're a punk. Like you're a little girl, like you're a little 8-year-old girl.
They hurt my feelings.
Come on, man.
They hurt my feelings.
I can't remember who the Tigers player was. Picked a fight with the fans years ago, maybe like in 2016 or something.
Wasn't it Fielder?
No, it was somebody like recent. It wasn't even that good of a player.
Wasn't I Got Kids, man?
We all freaked out. You know? Hey, there was a big fight last night. And why was it on a Sunday night, by the way?
Because it's not big.
It was a huge fight. Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul.
It was a good fight.
Braylon,
for what it was.
Braylon watched the fight. We're going to get into it in a little bit. And Easy's going to join us.
I got notes.
Easy was at the fight last night, sitting ringside. Are you kidding me? So we'll check in with Easy. It was the Jake Paul extravaganza.
Yeah, nice shorts though. I like the shorts.
You like the shorts? All right, we'll get into this coming up, and then we'll get into some college football. Armani and Edwards with Maz, Woodward Sports Network.
A custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time?
Then watch as we turn this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
Watch the Call Sam Chopper Shop on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
This is like
look at that.
Some Far East culture.
No, I feel like I'm going into a massage parlor right now.
Like
not a massage parlor.
Oh, wow.
I'm right behind you.
Oh, my God. We can't say that type of stuff on air.
We're canceled.
Not a massage parlor.
What type of massage?
A massage therapist.
Thank you. What do you call it? I don't
know. I was talking about spa, maybe.
A massage parlor?
A spa.
It's a spa.
It's a spa.
Okay. I feel like I'm walking into a spa right now. We got to get rid of that one. I hate that song.
Can we edit that? Yeah, don't put that on there. That was too relaxing.
Don't ever put that cut on ever again.
What number was that, Fish?
Get rid of the massage parlor.
It was number 16.
Number 16 is out.
Oh, my God. People are trying to be upbeat. Get rid of 16.
Cancel 16.
I never want to see 6. I would never want to hear 16 again.
16 is going to get us canceled.
Oh, my gosh.
This is upbeat now.
Anyway.
You said to wait.
Can we talk about the fight?
Too slow.
Can we talk about the fight?
Easy?
I'm trying to talk about Tyron.
Tell me about the fight. Because I did not see this.
You couldn't wait to talk about this.
I could, because I like what they're doing. I think at the end of the day with Jake Paul, he's creating such an amazing buzz. Like that's what they're doing. They partnered up with Fight partnered up with Showtime. It's a win for Showtime and Fight because what it's allowing Showtime to do, they're allowed to have more pay-per-views per year. Now you're adding an additional 15, 16 pay-per-views.
How much was this?
It was 16. It was 20,000 in attendance.
No, but like, how much was the pay-per-view?
$59.99.
Oh,
$60 to watch.
You know what I could have done with $60?
Jeez.
Yes, is get that lunch that they stole from you. Like,
Exactly.
Listen, this is why I enjoyed it. Easy to come on. We'll
See,
talk
he's
about
picking
it.
on me now.
No, I am not. It's because you use Jake Paul, the influencers. You use a different side of trying to get promotions out there and people tuning in and people wanting to watch and people coming on and using them as a promotional tool, the promotional market with Floyd and a Logan, a Jake and a Woodley. Now it allows Showtime to put some of their other boxers on the card. Like, there was 2 great fights that I saw last night. Yamalith Mercado and Amanda Serrano. Man, that fight was great. I don't even watch women's boxing anymore. I'll watch women's MMA, but I don't watch women's boxing. It was a great fight. Like I'm talking about, went down to the distance. Yamalith stepped up a weight class to fight Serrano, who's arguably been the best female boxer over the past 10 years. She hasn't lost in 9.5 years. Then you had Barasinik, I want to say. I know easier, correct me. And Love. Love was a Cleveland guy. He's undefeated. And Gervonta Davis, a.k.a. Tank's weight class, wants to fight for that welterweight. That fight was amazing. You talk about Love with no knockout power. Hey, we got Easy in here.
Yeah, we got
Hey, Easy. Hey,
Let's
Easy.
go, baby.
Am I right? Am I hitting the nail on the head so far?
What up, boys? Yeah, man, that fight. I was texting you back and forth while we were watching the fight with
You
Montana
kept me
Love
up
and
last night,
Ivan.
man. That's why I'm tired right now. You kept me up last night. Easy was texting me at 1 in the morning.
I pulled an all-nighter.
You look good for an all-nighter, buddy.
So give us a
Thanks,
sense
man.
what it was
Appreciate
like
it.
being there, Easy. Give us a sense of what it was like being at the fight. And so Jake Paul won the fight. What's next for him? And then how did you feel like his progress was here as he moves on?
His progress, I mean, honestly, he still looks like, a green boxer. It is what it is, but he's a showman. You know what I'm saying? He put on a hell of a show, and he brought Showtime pay-per-view to his hometown, and the crowd reacted just as that. Like, the crowd was amazing. It was a great atmosphere. I was a little bit spoiled because I had my pass, and I hop around seats and go backstage and stuff like that. So, like, maybe I had a different experience with it, but, like, still, there were stars in the crowd. Dave Chappelle was there. Dustin Poirier was there, which in the MMA community, he's like, skyrocketed to legend status because he's knocked out Conor McGregor twice now. Yeah, it was great. I got to meet the robot guy.
The robot guy.
Oh, yeah,
that's why Maz hates this stuff.
Hey,
The
Easy, did you get on
robot guy.
TV? Did you get a shot of you on TV?
I thought I saw Easy when he scooted up in the first round. I think I might have saw you real quick.
We probably did, honestly. I was all over the place, man. I was chilling with Logan for a little bit in the back there too. It was a great time, man. Honestly.
Let me ask you.
But go ahead.
I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. Let me ask you this question and jump in before I forget. Is last night, and this is just my thoughts, and I want yours. Last night, I think it was a win for Showtime and Fight. I believe they can now use that Logan and Jake Paul type of charisma and promotion to bring other boxing cards, like the undercards, where you're actually trying to have. Like, there was a title defense last night that no one talks about with Serrano and Mercado. You also have Love, who won. Now he can challenge Tank Davis. So I think it allows some of their other boxers. So I think it was a win for Showtime, but I think it was a loss for Jake Paul. I think it was a loss for him in the sense that we were all kind of thinking that because of only 2 rounds per fight, that he could actually be someone that could box, that he actually could be somebody that takes it serious over 2, 3, 4 more years and jump into the ring with some real contenders. What I saw last night, I don't think he'll ever be able to jump in the ring with real contenders. I think this will be the extent of his lane. Tell me if I'm right or wrong in either category.
I mean, it could be both. I hate to take that as like a weak way out, but like we got to remember, like this is just his 4th fight. He's still very green in the fight game. Like you go back to even like some of the greats, Muhammad Ali, or even I don't say Muhammad Ali, but Muhammad Ali. But honestly, you look at these guys, their first 4 fights in their careers, right? And you look at those guys' records and what they brought to the table. It wasn't much, and I guarantee you at that point too in their careers. Granted, actually, professional boxers have an amateur career, like they grow through it, but like. In general, by your 4th fight in boxing in general, like you're probably not going to be the best in the world. We probably expect that of him because the hype, promotions that come with it. But like, he's not that.
But you're also not going to struggle against a fighter that's never had a boxing match before. And I understand he's 5-time welterweight UFC champ, but at 39, he's never had a professional boxing match or an amateur boxing match. So the fact that you look like that against him is the only reason why I say it's not about him being green or only having a couple fights. He looked like that against a person that had never, there's love right there, that had never had a real boxing match. That's the part that scares me about him moving forward.
I think he's frozen up there easy.
That's the first time we could ever shut him up.
My comment was too good, man. I got him.
But I do like the fact that he stayed up all night here.
Yeah, he did.
He lived his dream. Easy is living his dream right now. That's the game he wants to be a part of. He loves MMA, and now he loves this YouTube fight. And you know what? Can I say something about this? I don't like fake fights. I don't like these YouTube guys.
It's not a fake fight. I mean, they're in the ring.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Give him some credit.
I'll give some credit.
Give him some credit, man. Come on, what are you doing?
Jimmy Lennon Jr. was there announcing the fight, in the ring. They made it. They put boxing back on TV again. Boxing is coming back little by little. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take these little crap fights if it's going to make people watch boxing. And eventually, maybe we get a couple of good new champions that we don't know about that are coming in. But you hit it right, Bray. Yeah. He's in his lane. He'll stay in that little celebrity boxing lane. Tyron Woodley already wants a rematch because supposedly they were going to let him fight the heavyweight champion's son, Fury's son. Tommy Fury, who's a young fighter as well.
He was awful.
He's not a good fighter. He's not a good fighter. He has a name, Fury. That's all.
They imitated him. He looked amazing. Looked like Tarzan. Looked like Tarzan. Played like Jane.
Yeah.
It was an awful fight. But I think that you continue to use the promotion of a Jake Paul, of a Logan Paul, and they can be the main event. But what you're really doing is you're really showcasing these underneath the undercard fights. I'm telling you, the guy Bearsinek that fought Love, they showed a picture of Love on the ropes. That's the best fight I've seen this year. I'm talking about pay-per-view. I'm talking about any pay-per-view I've seen. It was the best boxing match that I've seen this year. He was in the fight of the year. Bearsinek, the guy that he beat, was in the fight of the year. Ivan Bearsinek. Last year, he was the 2020 fight of the year. And then you have the fight with Serrano and Machado. I'm telling you, if that's what they got to do, I'm here for it because the boxing was great.
What was the fight I was watching? And the undercard featured Nate Robinson. Remember that?
Yeah, that was last year.
Lights out. Poor Nate Robinson.
That was last year in That was last year in November. That was actually Jake Paul's second fight.
Yeah, that's what I.
That's when he knocked him out.
That started it all. I think Nate Robinson. He started all of this.
He went to sleep. Poor guy.
That was the same.
Just like he did in the next
talking about the undercard.
That was Jake. Yeah, that was. See, that's when the change. Like back then, it was all kind of like celebrity undercards. It was like Chad Johnson and this person. And it was like not our Chad Johnson, but football Chad Johnson and this person. Now, they introduced a heavyweight last night, another Brit guy named Dominic Dubois. Oh man, hits like a brick.
I see what you're saying though. You take these celebrity boxing matches, essentially, you throw good, legitimate fighters on 100%. The undercard, and you can kind of elevate their status in this fight game as well. So everybody is winning here. In this type of atmosphere. I mean, is it what you and I grew up with? Hagler and Hearns and Sugar Ray? I mean, obviously not.
But it's a segue, though.
But it is an opportunity to get the fight game back in, raise the profile up a little bit.
Didn't Ali fight Andre the Giant?
And then like a what do you call it?
I know Hulk Hogan fought Rocky Balboa.
Thunderlips.
And the ultimate male.
Against the ultimate meatball. So he was beating him up for real. Rocky actually broke a rib.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
He broke a rib.
Had to stop filming for a little while when that was filming. Guys, I want to get back into some college football. Illinois won a game this week against Nebraska. Nebraska's really bad, it looks like. Illinois, can Brett Bielema come back to the Big Ten, use that Wisconsin blueprint to put Illinois back on the map in the conference? I want to get your take on that, Braylon. We'll do that next. This is Armani and Edwards, the bottom line.
Where's Easy?
On Woodward Sports Network.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand.
Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech. The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Go Greek with Papa Romano's. For a limited time only, Papa Romano's is introducing their new Greek pizza. It's a classic blend of bold Greek flavors and tasty Mediterranean toppings with tomatoes, olives, onions, feta, cheese, and more. Sounds good, right, Mas? Get a large Greek pizza for $16.99. Opa. That pizza sounded good, man.
Guys, I want to get into some college football talk here for a couple of minutes. So Illinois beat Nebraska 30-22 this week. Illinois was a dog in that game. Nebraska was the favorite. Illinois is a team to me that really has always been an intriguing Big Ten team. You've got the city of Chicago and all of these athletes within what is Champaign in Chicago? About a 5 hours. It is a 5-hour drive. I thought it was like within like a 3-hour drive.
Maybe three sounds better.
Whatever the case may be, it's in the state of Illinois. You have a tremendous wealth of talent in this Midwest area. You needed you needed a college coach there to come kind of just with a blueprint, get some guys there. I totally forgot that Brett Bielema was the former Wisconsin coach from 06 to 12. Then he went to Arkansas. Was actually kind of out of football for 3 years before he takes this Illinois job. It's his home state of Illinois. I think Brett Bielema can do some real damage in the Big Ten and kind of get Illinois into that upper echelon of teams in the conference and compete for Big Ten championships, or at least Big Ten championship games every year. There's no reason why he can't take Illinois to that kind of success that we've seen like at Wisconsin.
Yeah, one of the big problems, and Lovie Smith talked about this, is being down there in Champaign, Illinois, University of Illinois, is Notre Dame is a rock's throw from Chicago. Then you have Michigan is not that far of a drive. Michigan State's not that far of a drive. Ohio State's not that far of a drive. Indiana. So you have all these really strong, solid teams in the Big Ten that have been consistent, well, most of them over the years. That's what takes the talent away from the Illinois area. So it was always, kind of hard there. But they've always been interesting, man. They've always had some good players, some good talent. They just never could seem to find like the right system. It was like, let's go passing quarterback. I remember they had Jeff George's son was there as a quarterback, but they couldn't get it. Then they start, try to go back to the run game. I think Epstein's actually been there now 4 years of starting running back. So it's one of those identity things, but they always have pretty good players on defense. They always have good cornerbacks, pretty good linebackers. So I think the big thing is kind of like Michigan, trying to find that identity on offense and actually trying to get players that don't want to go to South Bend, Michigan, Ohio State, etc.
I feel like Scott Frost is in a similar position at Nebraska that kind of Jim Harbaugh is in at Michigan a little bit. And I watched that football game and said Nebraska is terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, it is almost sad to see that glorious program be as bad as they are.
Happened? It's like Martinez has been there for like 7 years. I mean, the quarterback, and not getting better either.
He's just not a good player.
16 of 32, 50%, 232. He had 111 rushing, but 75 on one play.
Yeah, he missed a wide open throw. I mean, just not a good player. And Scott Frost kind of came to Nebraska. He was a very good success at Central Florida, very good success at Oregon. You go to Nebraska and maybe you can't recruit to Nebraska anymore. I don't know
being in Central Florida, like the athletes you get down in Central Florida, they're going to be the athletes that couldn't get into Florida State, they couldn't get into Florida, Miami. Something happened along the line. You'll get a lot of those 3-star carryovers that are really good ball players, and then you just teach them the game. Scott Frost knows the game. It might be hard to recruit in that Nebraska area. Like Florida players don't want to come to Nebraska. They don't know poop about Nebraska. They don't feel like going that far away from home when you have all those colleges down there where they can kind of stay close and still make some bones and still make some headway. So he's in a tough place, but I tell you what, like you said, he's going to have to figure it out because those excuses don't fly with regions.
I mean, I really like the way that the Big Ten has done it this year in scheduling some conference openers for these teams, but the way that Nebraska was playing, I mean, could they essentially fire Scott Frost mid-season? I mean,
I don't see why
you
not.
can't beat Illinois.
I don't
Not
know,
that
though.
Illinois,
He's a homer. Like Scott Frost is a homer.
Would they do him like that? Is that kind of?
Nah, I don't think they would do him like that. He's a homer. Nebraska is like one of the biggest traditions in the country. Yeah, I think they generate, darn near, similar income to the top 5. I think Texas is number 1. I don't think they would do a homer like that. I think they would keep him in there and allow him to play his way out and kind of have a respectful mutual parting. But they want it to work. Like, they want it to work, but sometimes because you want something, as we know, doesn't mean it has to happen.
Hey, when Nebraska came to the Big Ten, I was like, wow, they really got a heck of a school to put into this Big Ten. And, of course, when they went and got Rutgers and Maryland, I didn't have that same feeling, especially with Rutgers. And I'm a Jersey guy.
Shiano, though, now.
Shiano's there now. They're going to be much better than they were. Maryland, they're a great basketball school. They haven't really ever been a really good football school.
They usually have a lot of good football players, though. But
Nebraska, man, how did this happen? This is a team that used to play for national championships. Now they can't even beat their way out of a paper bag.
I don't know. It just goes back to, teams like programs like Nebraska and Michigan and Tennessee. One thing about college football today that really we never experienced before, once you get bad,
it's hard to come back from.
It's real hard to dig yourself out of that. Yeah. I mean, look at USC. USC was the preeminent college football program in the country for a decade.
2 losses and it was over for them.
A decade. USC was like you were out there in a
decades.
Decades, sure, but
they were on probation
specifically
for a while too,
when Pete Carroll was there. Yeah, I know the probation, but once this thing goes south, it's real hard to dig out of. And I think a lot of people like USC this year, but are they going to compete for a national title? Probably not.
Yeah, look at Florida, look at Texas,
look at Florida,
look at Texas.
I mean,
it's a struggle.
It's so hard to get good again.
Yeah.
Once you've fallen off, look at Michigan.
I think the thing now is, my dad touched on this, is back then it was a couple schools and schools were in that realm, and if those schools would have a bad season, like everybody had a bad season, a Notre Dame, a Florida, and Oklahoma disappeared for a while back in the day. Alabama came out of nowhere before Nick Saban got there. But I think we have entered the era of college teams where every college team has a chance. Players are like, I no longer have to go to these schools.
Dude, Cincinnati's a top 10
exactly.
team.
So when
Iowa State.
So when those schools fall off, like they're stuck in that vortex, and players are like, I don't have to go there. I can go to Iowa State. I can go to TCU. I can go down here. I can go over here. So I think that's what's happening now. When you fall off, it's tough to come back because there's so many schools and players have so many options.
You like anything, Maz?
Well, I like the games this weekend. Michigan is a 17-point favorite over Western. We really haven't talked about that game. We will as the week goes on. And Michigan State plays Friday night, which is kind of their thing now, right? They open up at Northwestern. MSU is a 3-point underdog. They're not supposed to be very good. Northwestern's at home. Pat Fitzgerald. I think they're going to have a hard time. Michigan State will have a hard time winning on Friday night. I just see that. But here's the top 10. The top 25 games. Look at that list for this weekend. That's not a bad list.
Really like it. Number 3, Clemson. Number 5, Georgia. Texas and Louisiana. I like Louisiana. That quarterback at Louisiana is going to be a first-round pick. Probably going to be the 3rd quarterback taken in the draft coming up. So you might want to pay attention to that one. Iowa and Indiana. Wisconsin, Penn State.
Watch out.
Look at these games,
Watch
man.
out. Watch out for that Iowa and Indiana game. You are potentially, I promise you, I make no bones about it. You are potentially looking at 2 teams that could be in the Big Ten championship.
Look at that.
You're looking because Iowa is a really good ball club.
You mean to play one of them will play Ohio State, you mean?
Yes, one of them will play Ohio State. Well, Indiana can beat Ohio State. Like I'm telling you, Indiana has that level of talent. They had the same starters back last year when they put up 45 and actually had the game, and to a certain extent won in Columbus last year with that left hand. Oh, man, I love this guy. I love that team. Mark my words. Iowa can beat Wisconsin, and Indiana can beat Ohio State.
I like these early Big Ten games instead of the cupcake games.
Just kind of sets the tone, right?
I'm digging
sets
it.
the tempo.
Mix it around.
Put somebody behind off top.
Yeah, guys, want to get to our bottom line video of the day. Maz, you want to?
I do.
Okay.
This happened in yesterday's game. White Sox and the Cubs, interleague play. They're not going to like each other. North against the South. White Sox destroyed them 13-1. Look at this brawl. And we're not going to play the sound because there's a lot of cussing and stuff. But there's some. This went on for a long time. This video is like a minute long.
Somebody
Again,
get the guy in the hat. Somebody get the guy. Yeah, there it is. Get him. Get him.
Now, there's security there, but they're about 75 years old each. How are they going to separate these fans?
You can't. You just let them fight.
This is getting worse, man. Worse and worse. What's the matter with these people?
I don't know what's going on at these games.
What's wrong with you?
It's almost like they're looking for a fight or something. They want to be a part of these viral videos that are going. Maybe we shouldn't show them anymore.
I think what's also happening is there's no repercussions. For these people, one, don't get in trouble. And I think it's the error. Remember we were talking about the Trent Dilfer and the error and knowing that, not knowing it was wrong, and now we know it's wrong. But we were seasoned as those kids. The way we grew up a certain way. We were taught certain things. You bet not go to this stadium and act up. You bet not go in this grocery store and do anything. Right. You bet not touch anything. We grew up like that. So we had manners. We were smart. We grew up with morals and values. These kids aren't growing up that way.
Running wild.
They're kids that are raised by social media, and so they don't have those type of values. So when they go to ball games and things like that, they have a drink. The first thing that comes to their mind, they do. They don't think about their parents say, "Hey, you better not act up." Like they don't think that way, and that's why you're seeing all this stuff.
I'm gonna save my next video for tomorrow's show.
Okay.
Since we're up against it, it's a good one. It's a great upbeat one back from the 90s, but you're going to love it.
I got something for it.
Anybody watching on YouTube, on Twitter, anywhere else, we thank you for that. If you're listening on the Woodward Sports app, we appreciate you as well. Good day today.
This is how you start a week off,
Good
baby.
way to start the week off, absolutely. For Tom Mazaway, Braylon Edwards, Ryan Armani, Fish, Alex Mayer, so long. Thanks for watching. Hey, feel free to share the show with your friends, too. You can watch it again if you want on YouTube, on Twitter.
Eat some Papa Romanos and watch the show again. Why not?
Boom. Armani and Edwards, Woodward Sports Network.
The go-ahead run. This ball driven to center. It's playable. Farkas is there, and it ends in his glove. And the Taylor North Little Leaguers are World Series champions.